Hello friends. So as we know, for Prelim 2023 only 15 to 20 days has remained, and many people forget to look at economic survey which has been published by Government of India. It is one of the very important documents from which many questions can be asked for UPSC. Okay. So today we are going to see specifically environment and agriculture point of view, the specific topics in the economic survey. Those topics we are going to discuss today. So first topic is climate change and environment, preparing to face the future. This is one of the topics of economic survey 2023. So please pay attention because this economic survey can be very helpful for you to solving the many questions in prelims as well as mains. So in this lecture we are going to see the economic survey specifically from the point of view of prelims. Okay. So what does economic survey talks about climate change? Okay. So first thing, how it defines climate change and how it approaches from India's point of view. So first of all, as we know, climate change is nothing but a long-term change in the temperature and weather pattern of a climate. So this long-term change is happening. So we are in the weather. So we are saying that climate is changing. So economic survey says that by 2030, about 700 million people or 70 crore people worldwide will be at the risk of drought. Okay, it is giving the reference of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals portals. Okay, so to deal with this climate change, many countries, we know the Paris Agreement has been signed by many countries in the world, and they have pledged pledged various goals, okay, about emission reduction. So some countries are saying that will reduce the emission up to zero by 2050. Some are saying we'll achieve by 2060. Some are saying we are achieve by 2070. So here this graph which is given in your economic survey, what does it say? So here you can say that India is saying we'll achieve this target by 2070. China is saying by 2060. So we are just going to look at the major nations. USA is saying we'll achieve it by 2050. Okay. Whereas only one country, which is Germany, which is saying we will achieve it by 2045. So this chart is very important, where India is saying we are going to achieve the net zero emission by 2070. And Germany, you can see in the chart, is the only country which says we'll achieve it by 2045. Now, when we say climate change, what are the emission reduction and reversal actions that various countries have taken? Okay, so economic survey says that, so this is a very funny part that we are going to discuss. I mean, this is a little strange part, that economic survey says that world is not very clear. Even we reduce the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, are we going to reverse the climate change? So it almost subtly and let us say boldly it says that we are not going to reduce or we are not going to reverse the climate change. Okay, it is giving the United Nations reference of the United Nations report as well, because it is saying that even if right now we start reducing the greenhouse gases and we achieve our goals, climate change most probably will not be reversed, because 2.5 centuries before, or from last 250 years, these developed nations have emitted so much of carbon dioxide and so much of greenhouse gases. So these, let us say, the chain of global warming has started. So this chain cannot be broken or reversed. That is what our economic survey is saying. So you will ask the question, so what about, we are talking about Paris climate deals and net zero emission goals to be achieved and so many other targets under various protocols like Kyoto protocols. Why we are doing all these things? So economic survey does not talk anything about this. Okay, so there is no clarity about this, but this thing they are saying that we might not reverse the climate change even if we achieve all the targets. So it is giving the IPCC 6th assessment reports reference, AR6. So what AR6 tells about it? So AR6, this report of IPCC says that this entire climate change has started because of the historical emission of greenhouse gases by developed countries. And developed countries have done this 250 years back, and right now who is at the brink are developing nations and tribal countries or third world countries. So this is a list which AR6 gives that the countries which are most vulnerable to climate change. So what are these countries? So West and Central, East Africa. Africa is the most vulnerable, all of us know. South Asia means Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Bhutan. Then Central and South America, small island developing states, they are the most vulnerable. You know, Maldives and all these island states. Then the Arctic, again the very highly vulnerable region of the world. These regions are mentioned by 6th assessment report of IPCC. So the question in the prelims can asked based on this. So IPCC, what does it say? It is also saying the same thing. Even if you achieve all your goals, already set train of events that has been started by these developed nations by emitting much of greenhouse gases, it is not going to be reversed. But still, they are saying we have to carry on our efforts. Okay. So specifically, these developed countries, they specifically talk about developing countries to take the responsibility. Okay. They say that climate change, okay, that we have started, but right now developing nations are also emitting greenhouse gases. So you also should take targets. You also pay the money for transfer of technology and all those things. But here, if we say that these people, when the developed nations, they're talking about reducing greenhouse gases, but many of the countries in recent past or specifically after COVID-19 have gone back to fossil fuel. So here, countries like Germany, they have completely phased out the coal. They have switched to the coal. Many European countries also switched to the coal. So the reason is that Ukraine and Russia conflict. So because of the Ukraine and Russia conflict, they do not want to be dependent upon the oil, Russian oil. Okay, they don't want to purchase oil from Russia. So what they simply did, they again went back to coal. So see, this is the impact of war. Okay, so these developed countries could have taken oil from other Middle East countries or something like that at little higher cost. But see, what these developed countries are meaning is a business. They don't want the cost of production there to rise much higher. Their industries should face losses. So what they did? So they did not. They turned towards the coal. Okay, they did not buy the Russian oil. They want to put sanctions on the Russian oil. Simultaneously, they don't want to give up their economic benefits. So they turn towards coal. So specifically Germany. So these are the contradictions. The country which says by 2045 will be completely net zero emission have turned towards the coal. So this is one of the important factors that economic survey highlights. So economic survey, next it talks about rare earth elements. Rare earth elements is a very important topics from which questions can be asked in examination. Okay, on my channel there is a separate topic we have discussed simply dedicated to this rare earth elements. The link is given this video below. You can click on that and watch this topic on rare earth elements. So these REEs or REEs are very important. They are also known as critical minerals. Why they are known as critical minerals? Because for the economy they are going to be very critical. Okay, critical in terms of generating renewable energy. So the future is renewable energy. Okay, so future slowly all countries are moving from fossil fuel to green energy or renewable energy. So if you want this renewable energy, then these rare earth elements are very important. So for example, that we know is lithium. So lithium is very important for making electric vehicle batteries, mobile smartphone, laptop batteries. So these rare earth elements are very important. So globally, entire world is trying to transit from fossil fuel to these renewable energy sources, and India is also trying to do the same. So these are known as critical minerals for transition to the greener economy. But if you see, the advantage is that we are going to get cleaner energy, but there are some disadvantages. Okay, these disadvantages of these critical minerals is that if we see, these solar and photovoltaic plants, if you want to make electric vehicles, we need to do more mining than what we used to do for digging out the fossil fuel. If you want to take simply fossil fuel, what you have to do? You have to just dig out at one place. You have to take out those fossil fuel, you have to refine them and you have to supply it to people. But here, when you want to electric vehicles, okay, making electric vehicles is not just one simple mineral. So there is an array of mineral like cobalt, copper, lithium, nickel, and other rare earth minerals that are required. Okay, there are 17 rare earth minerals which are required for these things. So we have to mine all these minerals. So this mining is more, we can say, it can be sometimes harmful to environment also. So to generate this cleaner energy, it requires more minerals. So you can see here on the screen that a typical electric car requires 6 times more mineral inputs than that of conventional car. Okay, so you can see that 6 times more mineral inputs are required. Okay, so but this is required because we want to transit towards the cleaner energy. We want cleaner energy. We want solar energy, we want wind, we want electric vehicles, we want smartphones. Okay, so maybe in future our gas cylinders will disappear and maybe we will use the electricity to cook various type of food. So slowly we are transiting towards the cleaner energy resources. For that, these critical minerals or REEs, rare earth minerals, are very important. So this economic survey puts lot of aspect on these rare earth minerals. So these rare earth minerals are very important for prelims point of view. So for this purpose, Government of India has constituted KABIL, okay, or Khanij Bidesh India Limited under the Ministry of Mine. So KABIL or Khanij Bidesh India Limited is responsible for searching the rare earth minerals inside the India as well as outside the India. So acquire outside mines and securing this strategic mineral for the future use of the country to ensure the future mineral security for the India, for the nation, and to attain the self-reliance. So this KABIL is very important for that. You are calling it as a Khanij Bidesh India Limited. Okay. What else it talks about? So economic survey also places a very high importance on various aspects, specifically 8 national missions on which has been started for transitioning India into the greener economy. So this economic survey has given this chart. Okay, this NAPCC highlighting achievements across the various domains. So what are these achievements? So National Solar Mission. First important thing that government has started is National Solar Mission. So what does it say? Solar power capacity of 61.62 gigawatt installed by October 2022. Second, what does it say? So this chart is talking about whatever progress that government has done. Understand this, okay? So in MCQ, they can simply give one of the option that India has achieved 61 gigawatt installed capacity by October 2022. So it has been done under National Solar Mission. Then National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency. Okay. So this PAT cycle 7 notified in October 2021 for energy serving target of 6.63 million tons of oil equipments. So PAT is actually a kind of energy efficiency certificate. Is like perform, operate and transfer kind of energy certificates. So it is talking about that cycle which is called as a PAT cycle. Third is a National Mission on Sustainable Habitat. So 721 kilometer of metro rail network made operational by August 2022. So these facts are very important. 62 lakhs individuals, households, toilets and 6.21 lakh commodity and public toilets constructed by April 2022. So you please you can please stop this video and go through all these targets because they can be asked in the examination. I'll just read it very fast. So National Mission for Green India, National Water Mission, National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, National Mission for Sustainable Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. So whatever achievements they have been done under those missions is being mentioned in the another column. So just go through it once. It can be asked in your examination. So now we are going to move towards next slide. So next slide talks about COP27 or UNFCCC's Conference of Parties 27 which took place in 2022. So what are the major achievements of this COP27? So first important thing is this COP27 took place in Egypt, a place known as the Sharm el Sheikh. So what India has done? So India is promoting a special program within the country as well as outside, known as LIFE. LIFE means lifestyle for environment. Okay, so India is mainstreaming this lifestyle for environment. It's a kind of vision. We cannot even say it as a program. It is a kind of vision under which it is starting a small programs in various sectors to achieve the zero emission of carbon dioxide, to live the sustainable lifestyle, and also to reduce the greenhouse gases emission. Okay, so what is this LIFE movement? So LIFE movement, the government of India is saying it is a pro people and pro planet movement which talks about mindful and deliberate utilization of natural resources. So see, this is a vision, this is not a kind of program. So in the vision is always a kind of words are not like a like goal or mission. You have very clear words and clear goals have been mentioned in the programs, but here in vision the words are little vague. So you can see that stopping wasteful consumption, mindless and wasteful consumption, and what we have to achieve, mindful deliberate utilization of natural resources. Okay, what else has been done? Developed nations strongly voice setting up separate fund for loss and damage. Okay, so new funding arrangement, it was decided that we will establish, or the world will establish, UNFCCC will establish a new funding arrangement to assist the developed countries. Okay, so as this AR6 or the assessment report of IPCC, which has said that though this climate change has been started by developed countries, but the countries which are being suffering because of this climate change are developing countries. These are the countries which are going to suffer more. So developed countries are somehow agreeing that okay, we are going to set up some kind of funding mechanism. It is going from last 10-15 years, but still the world is not able to achieve that target of setting up of some kind of separate funding mechanism, so the assistance can be given to the developing countries. So here again they have said that okay, we are going to set up the same kind of rhetoric by developed countries. We will definitely set up some kind of funding mechanism. Okay, and they have also mentioned the target over here. So target is $100 billion per year. Okay, so this target they have mentioned long back. Okay, since 2015-16 they are saying that we will make $100 billion in next 10 years or in 1 year, but still it is not been able to achieve. One of the reason is developed nations themselves do not have much money with them. Okay, so what is India's contribution? So if you see India's contribution in the Paris climate deal, so before seeing that we must understand India contributes only 4% of the cumulative global emission. Whatever emission we have, India contributes only 4%. Okay, but India has placed very high goals to the UNFCCC, or India has placed very high targets in Paris climate deal. Okay, so in 2015 India submitted its first NDCs, or nationally determined contributions, or the goals to be achieved. And as mentioned by the Paris climate deal, these goals have to be updated every 5 years. So India updated those goals in August 2022. So in 2015, what were the 8 goals, okay, that India has set up to be achieved, okay, in next 5 years, and they have pledged it to the Paris climate deal? What are these goals? So first goal you can see is cumulative electric power installed capacity. So install electric power capacity from non-fossil fuel sources to be 40%. Okay, understand this is installed capacity, does not means utilized capacity. Okay, though we have installed 40% of non-fossil fuel power plants, but does not mean that we will produce 40% of our power from that. It is just installed capacity. Okay, second important target, reduction in the emission intensity of the GDP by 33 to 35% compared to 2005 level. Very important, okay, from the pre-point of view. So whatever GDP, whatever economic activities we are doing, and because of that, whatever GDP we are producing, we have to make it less and less carbon intensive. Okay, so how much less carbon intensive? 33 to 35% compared to 2005 level. Then third important target, quantitative target. What is the third important quantitative target? Creation of additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through additional forest and tree cover. So what India has said, we will create extra 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent carbon sink. How you are going to create? Carbon sink means simply we will grow more amount of forest. So you know the trees, they do photosynthesis, and in that process they absorb the carbon dioxide. In this way they store carbon dioxide in their bodies. So by growing more and more trees, how much carbon sink is going to be created? 2.5 to 3 billion tons. Okay, so these were the targets set up by the India in 2015. Okay, so these three targets are very, very important targets. So Article 4 of the Paris Climate Deal or Paris Agreement, what does it say? It says that every 5 years, as we have said, you have to update the targets. So India submitted August 22 some updates to this already submitted target. So what are these updates? So first update is about life. India said that we are going to start this life mission, lifestyle for environment. It is very key to combat climate change. Not only we want to promote this in India, we also want to promote this outside. So under this, we have started various initiatives, like government is saying that do not use your, like Prime Minister is coming in the Mann Ki Baat and he's saying that do not use the ACs in your houses. You are turning on the ACs and sleeping blanket on you, like don't do like that. So small things they are telling you. Switch off the electricity. Also they are saying eat more millets instead of eating like rice and wheat, which is very water intensive crops. So these types of things live we are going to discuss in detail. Okay. Second important update what there we have submitted: adopt climate friendly and cleaner path, okay, for the economic development. Reduce the emission intensity of GDP by 45% by 2030. So initially in 2015 it was 33 to 35%. Now we have increased it by 10%, saying we will achieve it 45%, will reduce the emission intensity of GDP by 45% by 2030. Okay. Then fourth important update is to achieve 50% cumulative electric power install capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy resources. So here in previous slide we have seen 40%. Okay, we wanted to achieve 40% install capacity, but we have already achieved that 40% install capacity. So government has increased the target to how much? 50%. Okay, so we are going to achieve 50% install capacity by 2030. So these are the important updates of India at Paris Climate Deal. Then again other updates are same like previous one, like creating 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent carbon sink through additional forest cover, enhancing the investment in development of programs in sector vulnerable to climate change like agriculture, water resources, Himalayan region. Then mobilize domestic and new additional funds from developed countries to developing countries to implement above projects. So we definitely need projects because the cleaner energy technologies are very costly. We don't have that much money. So India is saying that we also want to set up some mechanisms so we can take up funds from developed nations to implement such technologies. Then build capacities and create domestic framework and international architecture for what? Cutting edge climate technology, quick diffusion of cutting edge climate technology. In India, Okay, so to implement this climate technology, we have to create domestic and international framework. Okay, so these are the important updates that India has submitted in the Paris Climate uh, Agreement or conference, which happened in August 2022. So if you see, we can compare it. So old targets that India had set up. So first target you see in 2015 was cumulative installed capacity from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030 was 40%. So we said that we'll install this 40% power generating capacity will be renewable energy. So we have already achieved this 40% target. Now updated 20 is 50%. Reduction in the emission intensity of GDP up to 2005 level. How much? In 2015 it was 33 to 35%. Updated targets are 45%. Creation of additional carbon sink by increasing the forest cover by 2030. How much? It is same. In 2015 also 2.5 to 3 billion, and next updated target is also 2.5 to 3 billion. So prelim point of view, this comparison is very, very important. Now, let us understand the status of India's forest and tree cover. So, recently, this report has been published on India's forest and the condition or the status of India's forest and tree cover. So, Economic Survey has also commented on that. So, it has commented on that because one of the goals that or targets that we have submitted to the at Paris Climate Deal or Paris Climate Action is to increase the forest cover and to add up the carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons. So here the forest in India is gradually and steadily increasing. So what this report says, forest report says, it says that the forest cover and tree cover in India is gradually increasing. So country ranks third globally with respect to net average gain of annual forest area between 2010 to 2020. So it is one of the very big achievement if you see that we are ranking third in the world in terms of the amount of forest area that we have gained. Okay, very important from your prelims point of view. Okay, so these status of forest and tree cover, this report I will also cover. You might find the link. You may find the link below the video also about the state of forest and tree cover. Okay. Next, economic survey talks about various schemes to increase the forest covers. So these schemes are very important from prelims point of view. You have to go through all these schemes. So what are these schemes? You can see Green India Mission, Campa scheme, National Afforestation Program, Green Highway Program, Policy for Enhancement of Urban Greens, National Agroforestry, Submission on the Agroforestry. Okay. So these are the various schemes that economic survey has mentioned. Okay, please go through these schemes. Okay, you might have the scheme documents. Okay, in the scheme documents you'll find the schemes, and in prelims definitely they'll very high chances they can ask question on these schemes. Now, survey also talks about here carbon stock in the India's forest and tree cover. So here it is giving a complete graph from 2011 to 2019. Okay, so the report which has been produced, the report which has been published, which is known as India State and Forest Report. Okay, just last year, 2 years back in 2021, it published India State and Forest Report. So it is saying that in 2019, what is the carbon sink in India's forest? 7,204 million tons, which is higher than 79.4 million tons compared to 2017. So here you can see 2017, okay, and here you can see the 2019. So 2017 and 2019 report, it says that the total difference between the total carbon sink is 79 million tons. It's very important from prelim points of view. So yes, the increase is not very high, nor it is very less. Slowly, our forest cover is increasing. That's what report is saying. And slowly, we are gaining more and more carbon sink. We are restoring carbon in the form of trees. Okay. So this transition into carbon emission sequestered through the forest and tree cover to be 30 billion tons CO2 equivalent. How much is it? So this extra carbon sink that we have created. Okay. So extra carbon sink that we have created is almost equal to how many tons of CO2? 30 billion tons of CO2. It's very important. Okay. These figures are very important. So economic survey also talks about state-wise carbon stock. State-wise carbon stock in terms of state, Arunachal Pradesh ranks first in terms of total carbon stock. So what is the total carbon stock in Arunachal Pradesh? 1023 million tons. Number 2 is Madhya Pradesh, 609 million tons. In terms of union territories, the topmost territory in terms of creating carbon sink in the form of forest is Jammu and Kashmir, 173 million tons. Then Himachal Pradesh, 167 million tons, and Sikkim, 166 million tons, Andaman Nicobar, 162 million tons. So you have to remember these figures. Based on this, definitely questions can be asked in our exams. Okay. Next, economic survey. Next, it talks about preservation of ecosystem. So preservation of ecosystem is very important. We know we have created Wildlife Conservation Act, Air Pollution Act, Water Pollution Act, Soil Pollution Act, and Plastic Waste Management Act, Electronic Waste Management Act. So many things we have created. Biodiversity, National Biodiversity Act. So we have created these acts for the preservation of different ecosystem. Okay. So economic survey talks various facts about these various ecosystems which are very important from prelims point of view. So it says India has 75 Ramsar sites, total 75 Ramsar sites, very important. How much area it is covering? 13.3 lakh hectares. Okay. Then second important thing, it is talking about mangroves. It is saying that in some areas like Chilka, in Odisha, Sundarban in West Bengal, Dwarka, Porbandar in Gujarat, what is happening? They are saying mangrove forest is receding backwards from the coast. Okay, so it is shifting landwards, or it is going to shift landwards by 2070. So overall mangrove, it is saying there is a threat that the overall mangrove cover in this region can be reduced, as well as mangroves can be shifted towards land. You know that mangroves should be always towards ocean. Okay, mangrove roots are always dipped under the water. Okay, and they protect us from storms, they protect us from tides. So the economic survey is saying this is because of decline in suitable habitat in response to precipitation and sea level change. So sea level is changing because of the precipitation, the rainfall is changing. Because of that, what is happening? Mangroves are shifting landwards. Okay, so this is one of the important threats. So here, to deal with all these things, National Coastal Mission Program on conservation and management of mangroves and coral reef has been started. Now definitely these programs are not going to give you result immediately, but this ISFR, or this India State Forest Report 2021, it shows that overall mangrove cover in the country has increased. Okay, the increase is not very high, only 364 square kilometer. Okay, not very high, not we can jump on it. Okay, but yes, it has increased. But simultaneously, here the threat is that the mangroves in this region of Dwarka, West Bengal, Odisha, they are receding towards land because of the change in the precipitation pattern and global warming changing in the sea level. Okay, so here the graph talks about changing in the mangrove cover in India. We can see from 2009 up to 2021, slowly mangrove cover is increasing. It's not increasing very fast, but yes, slowly it is increasing. At least it is not decreasing, is the good news for us. Okay. So what is the approach? What is the approach towards a transition? So as we have discussed that government of India wants India to transit from fossil fuel to renewable energy sources. So what are the approaches that government of India has taken? So economic survey talks in detail about this, which is very important from your prelims point of view. Okay. So what are these approaches to transition to renewable energy sources? Okay. So first is investment. So investment is very, very important for anything, and specifically when we want to transit from such a low cost fossil fuel economy to high cost green economy, we need investment. So in investment in renewable energy in India since 2014 is rising. In between it came down. You can see 2014 it was very you can see only 6.1 US billion dollar, but by 2021 it is 11 billion US dollar. Since 2018, 2019 and 2020 it reduced, and 2020 it was very less because of the impacts of COVID-19, and 2021 suddenly it rose almost double, okay, equal to almost closer to double, it increased. So investment in renewable in India is slowly rising. Government is promoting renewable investment in renewable in various ways. Okay, so here you can say that the installed capacity by the end of 2019, or let us say by 2030. So installed capacity for power generation, you can see that is supposed to be 800 gigawatt by 2030. And out of that 800 gigawatt, 500 gigawatt will be renewable energy sources from which we will gain the power. Okay, 500 gigawatt is more than 60%. So by 2030, you will see this miracle happening in India where more than 60% of the power is coming from the renewable energy resources. So here you can see the yellow part which talks about the solar energy. So solar energy will be almost 34%. Wind energy will be almost 17%. So this itself crossed 50%. Then you have a hydropower, you have a nuclear power, and this black and gray areas you can see coal, you can see is only 32%. Coal and lignite 32%. So right now 70 to 80% of the India's power generation is coming from the coal, but in next 7 to 8 years this is going to come down at 32%. So these figures are very, very important, okay, which economic survey mentions and on which questions can be asked. Okay, so here Central Electricity Authority has also estimated that average emission rate will decline. So when we produce the electricity, we also emit the greenhouse gases. So the Central Electricity Commission is saying that average greenhouse gas emission rate will come down by 29% by 2030 compared to 2014. So what they are saying, in 2014 it was 0.73. 2030 it is going to be 0.51. So almost they are saying that 29% will be less. Okay, so 29% lesser greenhouse gas will be emitted through our electricity production by 2030. Very important again from the prelims point of view. Next important next important step that government of India has taken for transiting towards greener economy is green hydrogen production. So National Green Hydrogen Mission has been started by government of India. So why this green hydrogen mission has started? Because green hydrogen is considered as a carbon neutral. No greenhouse gases are emitted when green hydrogen is used as a fuel. Okay, so this green hydrogen development is it is a part of one of the strategies known as long-term low emission development strategy, or LT leads by government of India. So this National Hydrogen Mission has been started by government of India in 2023, and there are a lot of news like various companies like Adani's, Tata's and Ambani's. So many of these companies, they jumped and they have invested millions and billions of rupees into this green hydrogen. Even this Adani Greens, one of the companies, is going to produce the green hydrogen by 2030. Indian Oil Corporation, Gas Authorities of India Limited, these companies are going to produce huge amount of green hydrogen in next 4 to 5 years. And many of our vehicles are going to be run on this green hydrogen instead of fossil fuel or petrol or diesel. Okay, so the reason behind this national green hydrogen mission is to make India energy independent nation, decarbonize the critical sector, okay, save our foreign exchange. A lot of money we are paying for buying the oil from Russia, Saudi, Iran, Iraq. Okay, so we have to save this. Almost 1 lakh crore will be saved by 2030 when we will shift towards electric vehicles, when we will shift towards green hydrogen. Okay, so the one of the aims of this green hydrogen mission is you have to produce green hydrogen, utilize, not just produce, utilize, you have to export the green hydrogen. Okay, right now India is an importer of fossil fuel. We are a huge biggest importers of energy or fossil fuel, but by 2033 we will start exporting the fuel. So reverse is going to happen first time in the future, that we will be exporting the fuel instead of purchasing it. Okay, so one of the important task for that is to invest 8 lakh crore. 8 lakh crore is a huge amount. Okay, is going to be invested. So they are saying by applying this green hydrogen will result into what? Cleaner economy. We will save 3.6 gigatons of CO2 emission. So 3.6 gigatons of carbon dioxide would have emitted by 2050 if you would have not used this green hydrogen. But we are going to use the green hydrogen, and by 2050 3.6 gigatons of CO2 will not be emitted. Okay, or that emission reduction will be, or that emission will be prohibited because of the green hydrogen. Okay, so what are the salient features of this green hydrogen mission? What are the features of this green hydrogen mission? These features are very, very important. Okay, so what are the targets of this green hydrogen mission? So first, capacity of at least 5 million tons per annum. How much we are going to produce? 5 million metric tons per annum. Cumulative reduction in fossil fuel imports for 1 lakh crore and creation of over 6 lakh jobs. This is a huge target. Okay, how much we want to reduce the consumption of fossil fuel in terms of economic cost? 1 lakh crore, and we are going to create 6 lakhs job. Okay, by 2030. Renewable energy capacity addition of about 125 gigawatt and abatement of nearly 50 million metric ton of annual greenhouse gas emissions. So 125 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity to be added, as well as what? 50 million metric tons of GHG or greenhouse gas reductions to be achieved. So these are the salient features of green hydrogen mission. Very, very important from our prelims 2023 point of view. Okay. So transition towards cleaner energy. One of the important factor is you have to achieve the you have to accept the cleaner technologies. To accept the cleaner technology, government has created a strategy. This strategy is known as LT-LEADS. So this is a LT-LEADS the strategy. What strategy it is? Known as long-term low emission development strategy. Means what? Long term में हमें low emission जो भी चीजें हैं हम अभी यूज कर रहे हैं वो लो emission intensive होनी चाहिए. उसके लिए हम एक लॉन्ग टर्म स्ट्रेटजी बना रहे हैं. सो दैट इज नोन एज लॉन्ग टर्म लो एमिशन डेवलपमेंट स्ट्रेटजी. सो अंडर दिस स्ट्रेटजी, okay, so India has submitted this strategy at COP27. Okay, so as I told you, the overall vision for this LT-LEADS is life. We have seen life is a vision. Under that, LT-LEADS is one of the strategy. So life, or we can say the one of the important platform for the transition. What does it says? Life mission we have already discussed this. Mindless and destructive consumption जो है कम करना है, mindful and deliberate utilization को बढ़ाना है. That's the mission of life, lifestyle for environment. Okay, so ये LT-LEADS के क्या क्या फीचर्स है? LT-LEADS के फीचर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. They can be definitely asked in the exam. So what are the salient features? So first important feature under LT-LEADS is transition करना है. Transition from fossil fuel to क्लीनर एनर्जीज। दूसरा क्या है, रैपिड एक्सपेंशन ऑफ ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन। थर्ड क्या है, इंक्रीज इन द न्यूक्लियर कैपेसिटी बाय 2033। फोर्थ, इंक्रीज यूज ऑफ बायोफ्यूल। सो इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग जो है बढ़ाना है, कितना बढ़ाना है, अप टू 20% बाय 25। नेक्स्ट 3 सालों में कितना बढ़ाना है इथेनॉल ब्लेंडिंग, अभी तो 10% तक है, ऑलमोस्ट 10% तक है, अगले 3 सालों में कितना बढ़ाना है, 20% तक। सो इन नेक्स्ट 4 to 5 years we have to increase the ethanol blending by 20%. It's very very important. Okay, then strong modal shift to public transport for passengers and freight. You know, our population is increasing day by day, everybody starts using the vehicle. What happens, carbon dioxide emission increases, greenhouse gas emission increases. So what government is saying, we have to encourage people for public transport for both passenger and freight. Okay, then climate resilient urban development. No, smart cities should be climate resilient. Okay, also all these things should be achieved through what, Atmanirbhar Bharat and Make in India. ओके, ऐसा नहीं कि अभी इतना सब करना है डेस्परेटली तो बाहर से इंपोर्ट करो, टेक्नोलॉजी इंपोर्ट करो, सारी चीजें चाइना से, अमेरिका से, यूरोप से इंपोर्ट करो, नहीं, एवरीथिंग वी हैव टू डू थ्रू आत्मनिर्भर भारत, मेक इन इंडिया. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, recently Vande Bharat train has been started. So we asked some developed nation to give us a technology for this fast moving trains, but the technology was very costly. Like Japan and all, they're selling at very high cost. So what government had done? Government had simply in-house we created this technology to develop this high-speed train, and we have created this Vande Bharat. So this is how government wants to go ahead. Like everything, even it's a big thing or even a small screw, we have to produce inside the India. We have to create a technology to produce them inside the India. Through that, we have to achieve this goal of transition to the cleaner energy. Understanding? Okay. Atmanirbhar Bharat. Atmanirbhar means self-reliance and make in India. These are the important things under LT leads. Long-term low emission development strategy. Okay. So these are the very important things from your exam point of view. Now, as we have discussed, when we have to do so many things, we need money for that. So from where the finance will come? So finance for sustainable development. So one of the important source for the finance is green bonds. You know, green bonds means what? Green bond does not mean the color of the bond is green. What does it mean? Specifically, these bonds are created to generate the finances for the clean projects or renewable energy projects. Okay, sustainable climate suitable projects. Okay, so RBI has recently given us some guidelines for this green debt securities. Okay, green India's they calling it as a greening India's financial system. That means encouraging more and more investment into this green bonds. Okay, so RBI is incentivizing bank. Okay, they are encouraging banks. Okay, you give finance to more and more solar projects, give more finance to wind projects. Okay, wind power projects, solar power projects, so that even if these projects generate return on investment late, we will give you some exemption from other things in the banking system. So what they are doing, they are incentivizing banks. Okay, so they have created renewable energy projects have been included under priority sector lendings. You know, priority sector lendings, like it's mandatory now. Okay, it's not optional at all, it's a priority. So they have put green energy into priority sector lending. So banks have to give loan to this particular percentage of loan to this green security, green debt or green projects. Okay, so it has also created different types of bonds. So you know, green bonds. Okay, along with green bonds, blue bonds. So related to ocean management, water management in a sustainable way, to generate finances for that, they have created blue bonds. Then yellow bonds. Yellow bonds to gain the finances for the solar energy projects. And there are transition bonds. Okay, transition bonds, any company or any corporate or any government company wants to transit from fossil fuel to green energy, then transition bonds will give them loans. Okay, they can float the transition bond around. So for example, a company, let us say a particular X company, till now they were using coal for, let us say they have a boiler. In that boiler they are using coal as a fuel. But now that company wants to go to the fired boiler. So what they can do, they can simply float the transition bond, and they can say we want to go from this coal fired to solar fired. So please give us money, so they can get through transition bond. So these different bonds have been created by the government. These are known as a green debt securities. Okay, so economic survey talks about this as well. The blue bond and yellow bonds are very important from your prelims point of view. Okay, now economic survey highlights about ESA, or India's initiative at International Solar Alliance. See, this is one of the rarest initiative India has taken from last few years, okay, where India's Prime Minister himself have created some kind of international organization. So, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was responsible for creating this one of the important global alliance known as International Solar Alliance, and this is very rare thing that its headquarters is in India. Okay, which international institutions headquarters is in India? Recently, if you see, there is no major institution whose headquarters is in India, but ESA is headquarters in Haryana. Okay, so ESA is very important for the transitioning to the green energy. Okay, so this economic survey talks about creating global market for the, so all the countries who have come together, they are saying that economic survey says that they have all decided to unlock how much financial capacity, US $1 trillion investment in solar by 2030. Okay, so this ESA, they have decided that they will gain this huge amount of finances among themselves, which is $1 trillion US by 2030. Know that we have seen 26% of the India's energy by 2030 will be from the solar energy. Okay, so for that this much amount of finances are very much required. So currently, right now, there are 110 member countries are there. So ESA is very important. Next important is again this is also international alliance for disaster resilient infrastructure. Again, the initiative was taken by the Prime Minister of India. Okay, so under the initiative of Prime Minister of India, this disaster resilient infrastructure coalition has been started, where developed and developing countries and UN agencies and banks, they will be coming together and they will be developing such type of infrastructure which will be resilient to disaster. So disasters can be any type, climate disasters related to climate change, hurricanes, earthquakes, storms, anything, global warming, anything. So this is very important because in future it is said that we are going to face much more disaster than current. So this CDRI is very important. Another initiative which has been started by again with the initiative of Indian Prime Minister, Leadership Group for Industry Transition. So Prime Minister of India and the head of the Sweden country, under their initiative, this LeadIT has been started, means Leadership Group for Industry Transition. So what kind of transition? From transition to non-renewable energy resources to renewable energy resources. So when we have to transition, we have to do such transition. Industry is very important. Okay, because without industry, transition is not possible. So if you want to achieve the Paris Agreement, we need to take industry along with us and not just governments. Okay, so to take all the companies who are interested in transiting from fossil fuel to non-fossil fuel, as well as they are ready to help other corporates or other companies, other industries for the transition. For them, they have created this leadership group for industry transition. Again, India and, as I told you, the head of the state of Sweden, they are responsible for this LeadIT initiatives. Okay, so this is all about greener transition to greener economy. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood up till here. This is very important from prelim point of view. You might have understood the importance of whatever we have learned up till now. Many questions can be asked in your exam. Okay, now next area comes is the environment and ecology. So what are the initiatives that have been taken in the sector of environment and ecology. So first here you can see May 2022 is being celebrated as International Day for Biodiversity. In case of India, if you see, India ranks 8th in the world and 4th in the Asia in terms of diversity. In terms of biodiversity, we rank 8th in the world and 4th in the Asia. One more important thing is 62% of India's amphibian species are endemic. Means only found in only that particular region. Okay, these are endemic, they are not found anywhere else in the world. So we have 62% of the India's amphibian species which are endemic. That means it is very, very sensitive, and they are almost all majorly they are found in the Western Ghat. You know, many toads and many amphibians are found in Western Ghats. So Western Ghat is very ecologically sensitive region, and new species are discovered regularly over there. It's an ecological hotspot. Okay. Again, if you see in terms of crop plants or cropping plants, we rank 8th. India ranks 8th in terms of origin of crop plants. Many crop plants like cotton, rice has been originated in India. Okay. So we can see we have 300 wild ancestors and close relatives of many cultivated plants growing naturally. So many natural plants is there, wheat is there, rice is there, so many millets are there. Okay, we have 300 wild ancestors of these plants. Okay, so here if you see, India has totally 9,500 species of medicinal plants which are indigenous. Okay, we know we have Ayurveda. Ayurveda talks about many plants. So here we have 9,500 species of plants which are used as a medicine. Here local and indigenous people, what does they do? Many tribes and all these people, they know about 3,900 plant species for producing food, fiber, fodder, pesticides, gum, resins, dyes, perfumes and timber. Okay, so this statistics is very important, guys. Okay, very important, because one of these statistics can be given in the option of your options in your question. Okay, so please remember this statistics, very, very important. Okay, so we have seen this Paris Agreement. Okay, we have seen this IPCC, UNFCCC. Another important stage or another important international coalition for protecting the ecology is Convention on Biological Diversity, or CBD. Okay. So in December 2022, what happened? Conference of Parties number 15 took place in Montreal, Canada. So this Convention on Biological Diversity is very important for protection of biological diversities. So what are the outcomes of these CBD COP15? So one of the outcome of CBD COP15 is we are going to conserve at least 30% of world's land, inland waters, coastal areas and oceans. Right now we have only 17% of world's land and 10% of world's ocean which are conserved. Okay, so 17% of world's land is conserved today or is under protection, and 10% of the world's oceans are protected. But CBD 15 has said that we will take this number up to 30%. Okay, also what it says, net zero, near zero loss of the areas of high biodiversity importance. मतलब जहां जहां पे भी बहुत ज्यादा बायोडाइवर्सिटी, उसका लॉस बिल्कुल नहीं होना चाहिए. Near zero loss should be there of the area which has a very high biodiversity. We have to protect at any cost. Okay. Another important thing is reducing the food waste, reducing the overconsumption and reducing the waste generation. So when we reduce the food waste, how much we have to reduce? Half. We have to reduce the overconsumption, we have to reduce the waste generation, because all three are harmful for the biodiversity. So we have to reduce waste generation, overconsumption and waste generation. फूड वेस्ट भी नहीं होना चाहिए, और कंजम्पशन भी ज्यादा नहीं करना है, और फूड वेस्ट भी नहीं होना चाहिए. ओके, Then what? CBD has taken very important decisions on hazardous chemicals and pesticides. Okay, reduced by half both what? Nutrient and pesticides. So fertilizers and pesticide, which are very hazardous for the biodiversity, they should be reduced by half. Okay, phasing out the subsidies which are gone to creating these harmful pesticides and fertilizer which are harmful for the biodiversity. So slowly we have to phase out, and by 2030 they're saying they're keeping the target of US dollar 500 billion. US $500 billion subsidy should be reduced by 2030. Okay. Then what they're saying by 2030 at least US dollar 20 billion per year should be given for biodiversity related funding. Okay, whether public or private. And last target, they are saying that you have to increase the financial flow from developed to developing countries. So at least they are saying 20 billion per year by 2025 and 30 billion per year by 2030. So these targets, okay, they can be asked in your exams. Generally, these targets are set up every year, but they are not achieved. But yes, from exam point of view, we have to remember that because UPSC can ask them. Okay. So we know that in conformity of this CBD in 2002, India has created Biological Diversity Act. Okay, so Biodiversity Act is very, let's say, decentralized in terms of India. We have district level committees, we have state level committees, we have national level committees to give the feedback and to preserve the biodiversity. Okay, so this is one of the major action that India has taken to fulfill this international agreement of CBD. Okay, so these are the various things that international institutions are doing to protect the biodiversity. Now, there are also regional agreements like India-Nepal MOUs. They are taking place. Various countries are signing such agreements to protect the diversity. You know, Nepal is also one of the very high biodiverse country. So recently, India and Nepal has started, okay, for the protection of the biodiversity in terms of wildlife, environment, okay, and say to exchange the know-how and knowledge between how to preserve and about medicinal plants and so many things. Okay, so this was the recent development. So this is international development. Now let us move towards national development. What India is as a country doing within itself for the protection of biodiversity. One of the important thing is Project Cheetah. We have heard that Kuno Palampur National Park, okay, recently the female cheetah has given birth to the cubs and they were really cute that we have seen. So this Project Cheetah is one of the world's first intercontinental, okay, large wild carnivorous translocation project. So many continental projects have happened, or within the country this translocation projects has happened. Like we have translocated tigers from Bandhavgarh sanctuary to other sanctuaries. We have translocated rhinos, we have translocated other animals, but intercontinentally never happened in the world. So this Project Cheetah is world's first intercontinental large wild carnivore translocation project. So some facts to know about this Project Cheetah. So Cheetah, you know, was extinct from India in 1952. Okay, 1952. So Asiatic cheetahs are actually extinct from India. Some of them are there in Iran, and but we don't know their status. And African cheetahs are there. So Indian government has translocated this cheetah from Africa. So 8 Namibian wild cheetahs in September 2022 was translocated to Kuno National Park. Out of them, 5 were female and 3 were male cheetahs. And now you know they have given birth to the cubs as well. Okay. So this has been done for environmental protection, restoration of forest and grassland ecosystem. Okay. So you know cheetah is an apex predator. So cheetah is an apex predator, and there is cheetah is also not very aggressive. So when it is an apex predator, it will keep on preying on the slower predators like deers are there, wild boars are there, and it will keep the ecosystem go on. It will keep the ecosystem running. It will preserve the grassland ecosystem. Okay, Also, cheetah is not very aggressive. So other cats like tiger, leopard, lion, they are aggressive cats towards human being. Like that, cheetah is not very aggressive. So there is a very less chances of human and animal conflict. So this is also one of the vision that okay, to bring the cheetah, it will keep the grassland ecosystem alive, as well as when its number grows, it will not be very aggressive towards human beings. Man-animal conflict will be less. Okay. Also, this will enhance the tourism opportunities in those areas. So from tourism point of view also, it is very important because cheetahs are so nice generally when their stomach are full. They are not aggressive. You can just go and you can just play with them. You can tap with them. Even wild cheetahs, they will not harm human beings. Okay. So because of that, this project Cheetah has been started in India. Okay. Now let us see what economic survey talks about other animals. So tiger, okay, India has started tiger conservation project long back. So right now India has 53 tiger reserves and 75% of the wild tiger population. So we have 75% of the wild tiger population in India, and it has increased. So India achieved the goal of doubling the tiger number in 2018, 4 years before 2022. Means many targets have been achieved before the time. Okay. In terms of lion, if you see lion population is 674 individuals 2022. It has also increased by 28% compared to 2050. Also, leopard population is one of the highest in India. Okay, more than tigers, we have leopards. Okay, India has how many leopards? 12,852 leopards. Many cities you can see leopards are entering into cities. So leopard problem, you see, this is the problem. That's why we bought the cheetahs. When leopards and all this, they come to the city, they attack the people. So government is estimating that okay, tomorrow if country's population increases and the cheetah's population increases, it will not harm the people. So leopard population has also increased. So in 2014 it was almost 7,900. Now it has been 12,800 leopards. Okay. Again, elephant. Project Elephant has been started for the preservation of elephant. So you have you can see current population of the elephant worldwide. How much? 50,000 to 60,000 Asian elephants are there. Okay, Asian elephants, not African. Okay, out of that, 60% are there in India. Okay, recently the documentary known as Elephant Whispers has won the Oscar prize. So you should see that documentary, as well as questions can be asked on elephants. So 60% of the population of the Asian elephant is there in India. Okay, and the elephant is listed in the Appendix 1 of this Convention of Migratory Species. Okay, at Gujarat in 2020. So these things are very important from prelims point of view. Now, Economic Survey also talks about Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So, Wildlife Protection Act, the amendment was passed in Rajya Sabha just a year and a half back. So it has a 6 schedule, and amendment tries to create only 4 schedules. Okay, so this Wildlife Protection Act is trying to keep the protected species into 2 schedules. It wants to remove the vermin species. So having the vermin species is not a good. Okay, you are giving permission to kill the animals. So government of India wanted to get rid of this vermin thing. Okay, so the amendment to this act, it has done away with the vermin species. Okay, and also international trade or smuggling of this wildlife animals, we have to reduce it. So government of India has tried to insert a new schedule to insert some species whose international trade is very, very active. Okay, so and in the end, this act, what it tries to prohibit the import, trade and possession and proliferation of invasive alien species. Alien species means they don't belong to this particular ecosystem, but they are being by deliberately or accidentally introduced by some people from other ecosystems. So they are harmful for the new ecosystems in which they are being introduced. They can completely destroy the new ecosystem in which they are being introduced. So government wants to control these invasive alien species. So for that, it has introduced some some of the, you can say, uh, some of the sub laws or sub points in the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay, so this was all about ecology and environment. Okay, now economic survey, finally it talks about waste management. Waste management in terms of plastic waste, single use plastic. Okay, so economic survey says India has a per capita plastic consumption is only 11 kgs, which is less than average global plastic consumption. So what is average global plastic consumption? 28 kg. India has only 11 kg. So government of India has introduced this Plastic Waste Management Act, MOEFCC. Okay, they introduced this extended producer's responsibility and various kinds of plastics and types of plastic which are covered under this extended producer's responsibility. So this is also very important. Okay. Last thing that economic survey talks about is Battery Waste Management Act. So similar to Plastic Waste Management Act, this Battery Waste Management Rules 2022, it talks about producers or extended producers responsibility. It means producers are mandated to collect all waste batteries. So all waste batteries has been mentioned, not few or as much as they can. All waste batteries, it's compulsory for them. So according to rule, producer, he has his extended responsibility to collect all waste batteries. Okay, so for that they can also authorize any authority to collect on behalf of them these waste batteries. Okay, so this is what economic survey talks about. So I hope you guys have understood. I hope you guys have understood the entire economic survey that we have discussed right now. Okay. This is very important. That's why I thought I'll put it on the YouTube. So might be the last days of your preparation, you will not miss this. Many facts are very important. They can be asked, and in last many years they're asking questions from economic survey. So definitely take out a time and go through this lecture at least twice, so you will come to know what are questions which can be asked. I'll try to put some MCQs as well. Okay, so if you like this lecture, if you find it useful, please like and share it with your friends. Thank you.